And now I think putting a clear statement as by far and away the best LPL team would be quite the statement to make heading towards a matchup against T1.
Exactly. And then that T1 series will be so exciting. I mean, AL, I think maybe on paper, people could potentially be favoring them, but T1 has so much history of being the LPL killers that would be incredibly exciting. We, of course, have to see, though, if BLG can turn things around here. It's reverse sweep or go home for BLG at this point. We need to have someone really step up, I think, and take over this series to get them some momentum early. It can be so hard when you're up against it in a series like this. If things don't go your way at the start of this next game, I could easily see it being a blowout.
Yeah, you're really looking at Knight or at Bin. Those are the two players that so often stand up for BLG and really put their carry pants on. For AL, just keep doing what you're doing. They banned out the Pantheon, the Ambessa, Jace, Galio, and Shin taken away by BLG. I'm looking at the Varus, which has worked its way through draft so far. Kalista as well, if you really want to mess things up with a pack one, pick one here. Last ban coming out from AL. Where are we going to go?
Looking at what we have available, like things like Skarner maybe if you're worried about the jungle matchup. We've still got Annie, Ari available, Sylas and Yone. Sylas for Knight is always something you could be scared of. The Poppy going to be banned means that Vi goes to the top of the table in terms of early jungle rotations, but perhaps that's what AL want.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that they're trying to lay a trap, but with Poppy banned out, I feel like slam it down. Let's see the Ahri for Knight here. Go for the Vi Ahri combo. It is so powerful. Knight has been so well known for the champion for a long time. Is truly stellar on it. But it does look like they're considering it.
Yeah. So that was the idea. You leave the Vi open, then you can get the Varus for yourselves. You know how much AL value the pick. But BLG, they're not going to allow it to happen. Now, I do wonder if AL will just take the Vi for themselves. Well, they're going to insta-lock the Gwen and the Vi. So not only will they deny the Gwen away from Bin, a champion that he is very feared on, they're also going to lock in that Vi. And I wonder if Shanks will go for the Ahri himself. This could be an opportunity for BLG to just blind the Annie to dissuade Shanks from going in that direction.
It is true. I mean, there is something that you can be said for that, but also, I mean, Syndra, I think, good answer into it. You know, Knight, very, very good
Sylas
on it.
as well.
Sylas, Annie. I think there's a lot of options here up and available if Shanks were to just kind of slam that down. We'll have to see where BLG want to take it, but thus far I do feel like AL had a really good read on the priorities for BLG because, you know, I thought it was going to be a Vi going over, but the fact that they were actually able to predict it was going to be the Varus going over, they pre-banned the Poppy, they get the Vi, they're the ones that are going to be kind of on the front foot here. And Flandre on his Gwen, very, very comfortable on this pick. It is hard to punish. I do think it is a strong blind pick in the meta these days. It is one of those unique champions that both can be a massive side lane threat, but it's also really strong in team fights if you can pilot at that high level.
Okay. Yeah, it's Fiora for Bin. We saw this all the way back when he was on Suning in the World Finals, got a pentakill.
The pentakill.
In that game too.
Oh my goodness.
And it's Sivir for Hope.
Fiora, I mean, so we're in a team fight meta, and that's often why whenever the topic of Fiora comes up, it's like, well, she's not necessarily the best team fighter. She's a duelist. She's someone who thrives in the side lane. She wants to split push. She wants to fight isolated away from everyone else. And into the Gwen matchup, it can be a great matchup. But in Bin's hands, I mean, he's famous for this pick.
He absolutely is. But the last time we saw it from Bin, 2023 MSI. So it has been a couple years since he has actually brought this out. And we have got to see if he can be that difference maker in a game like this. And I'm so curious to see, you know, is it going to be Ignite TP? Is he going to go hyper aggressive into this Gwen? Will it be the more conservative approach of the Black Cellboard?
I mean, when your back's against the wall, I feel like just having confidence in yourself to pick champions like this is a must. If you're going to go down, you may as well go down trying. And I love this pick. Victor going to be removed on the side of AL alongside the Alistair, the Cassio, targeted towards Shanks. Looks like that mid pool is going to continue to be pinched. They want to make sure that that mobility is available on the side of BLG.
Yeah, very interesting to see. No Ahri banned out yet. Of course, BLG still could ban it here if they are concerned about that Vi Ahri combo.
This really feels like a BLG Sylas to me. Knight is so proficient at the pick, removing some of those very difficult matchups in particular.
And Knight not having lost a game on that Sylas this split, 8-0 on the champion. Victor banned away, Karma, Cass removed by BLG. The Annie, the likely lock here for Shanks in that mid lane.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense with the Victor ban here. You know, I do think Annie really struggles into champions that do outrange. And if your read is that Knight will want to go towards something like the Ahri, that it is that ultimate comfort, well, then you're kind of pre-counterpicking it. But still, I think you can look towards champions like even Orianna that can kind of accomplish a similar thing, that can have that additional range to poke and prod away at the Annie to try to shove that Annie in and really make things difficult.
I like Renata into the amount of dives that AL have. When you've got Gwen and Vi threatening that Varus, trying to gain access onto the backline.
Hasn't won a game. Hasn't won a game at MSI, Renata.
She's alongside the Kalista.
She's alongside the Kalista most of the time. Not 100% sure if it's every game that she has played alongside the Kalista, but maybe pairing it up with a new AD carry could work. Akali currently the hover for Knight. I mean, talking about laying down a gauntlet, talking about fighting something you're comfortable on and just trying to outhands your opponent. Twisted Fate. Now where BLG are looking, the most banned champion at this tournament.
But another pick that has struggled here, and I do think it can work. It is heavily based on the execution. If there were a time for it, alongside the Fiora, it would make sense. But he is having a laugh. He knows he's baiting everyone. And he's going to slam the Akali down into the face of the Annie here.
That does surprise me. That really does surprise me. I mean,
that's a flex, man.
It can be a good matchup, especially if you like come out of the laning phase even. Once you've got that level 6 on a side lane, you definitely have some kill threats onto the Annie. But the laning phase can be rough. I personally would have preferred the Sylas, but I guess into the Sivir, he was a little bit more cautious about the Blitzcrank being hovered, and it's going to be locked in.
Oh my goodness, what a game.
Just like we all predicted, Fiora versus Blitzcrank, you know, in game 3, of course.
Match
very
point,
standard
BLG down 3 games. We need Fiora Akali. That is what we need.
That's a banger. I mean, if you're going to go out with a bang,
exactly,
man.
we were just saying this.
These are some of the champions, you know, I think Knight really can be a difference maker. Bin really can be a difference maker. They have so much agency, you know, as these champions to make individual outplays, and I think that is heavily what you are relying on. I also do honestly really like the Renata here into what we are seeing. It is relatively short range. It is obviously showcasing this dive. Sivir's not going to be worried about the hostile takeover because of that spell shield, but Annie, Vi, Gwen, Blitzcrank, all going to be kind of trying to pile in there, you know, catch out this Varus, and on the Renata is built to defend that dive. You know, yes, you have the Vi, you have the Annie ult, you're trying to one-shot someone, but if bailout comes through, if hostile takeover is there, if the fight gets turned around, it could really change things in a team fight.
I love seeing the smiles on the BLG faces. They're still filled with confidence. They still believe that they can turn this series around. A roster of experienced players at this point, Vaishron being the only new one to make his way onto the international stage. They have to believe in themselves, and with champions like this, I mean, there isn't more evidence than that. We'll see if they can turn this series around. We're about to jump into game 3. AL, though, on the precipice of looking to dominate their brothers from the LPL.
And obviously a lot of focus will be on BLG's pick. And the Fiora for Bin, the Akali for Knight, played it 5 times this split, has only lost once. But then you go to the other side of the rift and you look at this Gwen for Flandre, 7-3 on it this split, 17-7 on it all time. The Sivir for Hope, a callback as well to when he was able to pick up his first ever championship, playing that Sivir and that Zeri. We're gonna hear from I Will Dominate, who people have been watching for 10 years, apparently. Shox, take it away.
It's true, Dom. You have fans here that have been watching you for 10 years.
Yes, I'm really old, Chucks. I am really old, so.
That's not what I meant. Is this Fiora pick making you older?
No, I think it's going to be making me younger. It's saving us time. We might be out of here with the 3-0.
Someone told me you're a BLG Andy, though.
Yeah? Well, I've been a BLG Andy, but the thing about me is, like, sometimes I have to betray, like, my friends. Same way that you just did, where, you know, you went on the broadcast, you said, oh, no one's a fan of Dom in the whole arena, so, you know.
You heard that?
No, I didn't. The hearing is going with the age as well, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to do you a solid. Medic and I jumped on Cadrill's stream, and we spilled coffee all over his setup.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard you do that, and then you looked over to me and you said, oops, and then you just knocked it on the floor, so. I appreciate it. It didn't ruin the entire setup, but it was a bro move. I like that.
AL 3-0, and if not, why not?
I think it's AL 3-0. I think it's just Tabe Diff. He's too good.
Okay, Tabe Diff. Thank you, Dom.
Oh, coming in.
On. Able to walk away. The Ricochet coming out. Hope with the barrier early here. Looking for a bit of extra damage on the trade. Ghost was popped by Elk as well. as those ricochets continue just to chip away at On and Elk.
Yeah, nice to hear from Dom, and it's good that Shock spilled something from Caedrel's setup, but just don't ask her what she spilled over at Dom's.
Yeah.
You notice she kept that under wraps in the interview.
Paid Dom off just to not mention it for the rest of the stream.
Now, when we think about early prio, you'll notice that Hope and Kyle already have the push. Kyle, he is posturing in a way where he is fishing for a hook. The damage is very serious. I'm a little bit worried for this BLG bot lane. There's the hook.
The hook on has to flash.
Yep, that's why I was
Meanwhile,
worried.
in the mid lane, Shanks is just dead. Base one with a great gank. 3 camps into gank gets Knight ahead.
That is a super big play in the mid lane.
That is massive, being able to actually get that kill there. Great start now for Knight. Yes, they lose flash on bot side, but getting Knight on this Akali ahead could pay dividends.
Certainly could. I mean, Akali, her weakest phase is in the early phase, and getting those early levels and just that extra bit of experience, that extra bit of gold can make such a massive difference in the 1v1 matchup. And on the top side, Bin is just dominating, already building up about a wave of an advantage in the 1v1.
I love this from Base One. It's something we saw from him in Game 1 as well. The 3 camps into gank, setting up your laners really well, gets the edge of Ishtar, and then there's really nothing Shanks can do in this situation.
Yeah, and it's just kind of the anti-timing there for Shanks. He had the level advantage on Knight, and he had Knight quite low, so he wanted to press the advantage there, not expecting the early gank, but Tarzan topside not to be outdone.
Bin has flash, has riposte, will lunge away. Needs to riposte the bot breaker and does so. Gets the stun, trades back onto Flandre. But with Kyle and Hope on their way, Bin needs to be a little bit more cautious. Does still have the flash. Kyle has one of his own and won't send out the hook.
He dances around it well. You can see the Ignite was even popped by Flandre. And the swap even came through, so AL doing everything in their power to try and put Bin behind, put that pressure onto the Fiora, but now he can just TP to the bot lane. He can continue in his 1v1 matchup as the response from BLG will be sending their bot lane to top as well.
Yeah, notice that Flandre's not going to TP to match, so he's going to hold on to his teleport here, and there's the hook. Oh, that would have been a kill. He has no flash, and Tarzan was there, but just can't quite find it. I think he might even be losing a plate, though, down bot because he held onto the TP. So, yes, you have that teleport advantage, but now you have to get something on top side. Otherwise, you've just gifted Bin an even larger lead.
It's about 300 gold ahead right now.
You're right, it was the plate in bot lane.
Gets the plate as well. Flandre on this Gwen, obviously very comfortable, but I'm not sure how often he's had to play the Fiora-Gwen matchup.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about Shanks and his journey, because I do think it has been truly incredible to see what he has been able to do. As Shanks in trouble.
Knight has the stun proc. Knight, oh, so close with the auto. Shanks disintegrates the Knight. Burnt alive in his armor.
And it's just like he said, to succeed, you have to first fail. He gets killed by the gank. He gets the solo bolo as Knight goes too far. Look at this timeline, though. The struggles that he had from a 0-16 roster, a 4-12 roster, all the way here to getting a solo kill on match point against Knight to push yourself to top 3 at MSI. It is hard to believe that someone would still have faith that they could make that journey when they were in the depths of those challenges.
It's just such a contrast where Knight came in and very early on in his career he was finding success, as opposed to Shanks, who has had to work so hard for so long to reach this pinnacle. It is incredibly meaningful to get the better of Knight as well, just like he did in the finals, and getting that solo kill just closes that goal gap between the two mid laners in the matchup as well. Knight will now take over to level 6. AL hovering around the top side.
Look at Shanks, he's here.
The hook only hits a minion. Shanks has roamed from the base there towards that top lane, had the Tibbers.
Yeah, it kind of felt like Kyle waited too long to actually go for the play there. You know, Shanks made the roam. He's going to be losing CS mid lane, and I think, again, they're going to be dropping a plate very likely because Knight had quite a bit of alone time in the mid lane there, so we'll see if one did actually fall. But Knight up a good 300 gold off of that failed roam there from Shanks, where, yeah, I just think Kyle waited way too long to actually look for that play.
Shanks definitely playing towards getting his spells out a little bit quicker with the Ionian Boots of Lucidity start here on the Annie, roaming around the map trying to find those ganks.
Look at the lead that Bin has built for himself. The pings were even coming down from BLG. They expected Tarzan to have stolen away the Krugs, given the investment that was spent on the top side. And he's still not afraid. He doesn't slow down with his aggression. He realizes even in the 2v1 with the damage that he's been able to do to Flandre, that he would be able to outplay in that situation. And so BLG, slowly but surely, even after the small blunder in mid lane, they built themselves a 700 gold lead.
Yeah, BLG will be really happy with how this game's going, especially with Bin getting some free time. Similarly to game 1, he's got this early lead. Question is how effective he can be with it, because in game 1, obviously, AL did a really good job of making sure that Jax could never find flanks, could never find good team fights. Also shutting down on that Nico helped them out to great effect. Shanks here might be the target for BLG as Beishwan is waiting just around the corner. Kyle here to cover his mid. Beishwan going in, has the Impale. There's Tibbers down. Kyle will eat the suppression and might eat the Impale too, but Knight is not targeting him at all. Stunned up by Shanks. Kyle with a great bouncer play there for Shanks.
Yeah, really well done by both Kyle and Shanks. Kyle eats the CC, and notice that Shanks is not just hitting Beishwan, he's immediately targeting the Akali so that Knight cannot follow up. Or if he does, he might have been able to kill Kyle, but he absolutely would have died for it. So really well played there by the mid support duo from AL.
I'm honestly surprised. Like, I was expecting Knight to just fully ult and commit to that play. Flandre, now the target of a dive.
No Impale for Beishwan, but no flash for Flandre. Does have the Ignite, will dash across with skip and slash. Needle works on, will take him down, but the bailout will bring him back. Meanwhile, on the bot side, we see a great dive onto Bin. AL answer back with a kill of their own, and On didn't come back to life.
Yeah, well played there by Flandre, able to delay enough so that he's able to get that bailout to actually expire before he did go down. Really nicely done. But you have to look and see, Bin almost has his teleport back, so this TP that Flandre held onto, that he gave up a plate and a wave for, he hasn't gotten really much of anything for until now he's just going to TP back out towards top.
I do hope we'll get an opportunity to see the dive that happened in bot lane. Oh, 1 HP.
Calculated, not even close.
Not even close. Tarzan walks away with a stolen red buff as Beishwan secures the grubs on the top side of the map. But AL being proactive on the map, it really did feel like, based on how the laning phase was going, that things were just, oh, hang on a minute, Bin.
Bin jumping in onto Flandre here, puts down the grand challenge, and Beishwan's there to answer it. Flandre, no flash, no hope of surviving. Bin finds his vital and takes his kill.
So we're reaching a critical point in the matchup, and Bin, I think the value that Beishwan provided there was bringing Flandre back away from the tower, giving Bin a little bit more time to secure that kill, but this is only going to get harder for Flandre. As you can see in the 1v1, this Fiora is really starting to become a problem.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's a little bit reminiscent to game number 1, where again, Bin got alone time down in the bot lane off of this earlier swap. This time it was matched, but not by the teleport. That give Bin a bit of an advantage, but he is potentially caught out.
Opts the riposte, has the flash, will flash and then bolt his way away, but the hook from Kyle finds his man, and now the chase continues. Hope opens up with the boomerang blades, will be gifted the kill as well.
That was looking like an extendo arm there, but BLG trying to threaten the dive onto Flandre. No third member here, so this would be a very risky play to go for, especially because the ulti just came back up.
It's interesting how AL is just heavily committing into trying to keep Bin down. They recognize the situation they're in on the side lane, but they're investing ganks to try and punish. They are foregoing a lot of neutral objectives as a result of this. This will be the first Dragon of the game. You earlier, Azel, talked about how AL was a super grubs priority team, but they abandoned it in order to make sure they could make that effective dive onto Bin. He finds himself with a 1-2 scoreline, but still up 400 gold against Flandre.
Does have that gold lead, but in trouble is Knight.
Knight has to try and jump away with the perfect execution and will manage to escape. Has that R2 now, but no real way to use it. Dashes back to the safety of his tower. Beishwan on an Elk here to try and protect. Ishtar's impact coming out. Good ultimate from Kyle to stop the channel, but the Impale cannot be stopped. Kyle pulled back and taken out by Elk.
Dying so that his mid laner could live. As you highlighted, Medic, a really good use of the ultimate from the Blitzcrank to interrupt the charge from Beishwan. But then when the ulti came through from Elk, there was nothing that Shanks could do to help his support. He appreciates his sacrifice as BLG get themselves another pick.
You've got to give credit to Beishwan. He has been very active so far this game, involved in everything that has been going their way. The level 3 kill that they're able to get in mid lane, the attack up towards the top side, helping Bin get a kill. Again here in the mid lane, multiple times putting on that pressure. I feel like he is playing a great game, even though everyone, rightfully so, would be favoring Tarzan very heavily in this jungle matchup. I think Beishwan has been having a pretty good showing.
Yeah, his early game in this game has been been absolutely phenomenal. Like in game 1 when he got ahead on the Trundle, got his team a couple of early kills. The problem is for BLG, often when they do get ahead in the early game, especially against AL, they chase a little bit too far, and when you're chasing into things like a Sivir, an Annie, a Gwen, it can be your demise.
It absolutely can, and when you're thinking about how the comps do work later on, you can see how BLG can win if they can get into that backline with the Fiora and with the Akali, but it is going to be really hard to pull off. Whereas I feel like what AL wants to do is very simple. You Sivir R, your 4 kind of short-range people, they run in, and Sivir is just having that space created by the aggression from the rest of the team. Sivir just has to hit anything, basically, and ricochet through. So I feel like AL are set up for success.
On has the hostile takeover, and he'll use it immediately. Ishtal's impact onto Tarzan, trying to use the shield to survive, but the cease and desist only going on to Elk won't be enough. Elk claims his 3rd kill of the game, as Shanks will be able to secure the Scuttle Crab towards the top side. Beishuan still chasing, flashing forward, and pulls Shanks back to the waiting arms of Knight. Shanks has to flash away, dodges the impale, but Knight's on the chase. A perfect execution might be enough. Knight has to flash the wall. The chase continues. Kyle here once again to defend his mid lane at exhaust. Beishuan looking to open up. The stun from Shanks on across the wall won't have enough with the loyalty program, and Shanks will smoke Beishuan.
It really is a bloodbath here in game 3. 13 minutes in, 5-5 in kills. And every single play that BLG make, AL is looking to respond. This time around, it was an example of BLG overextending just a little bit. They thought that they could chase down Shanks. The flash even committed by Beishuan, but Knight on the turnaround from Shanks almost lost his life.
They absolutely did. I mean, AL going to get a lot here, though. No TP's there to actually answer that top wave push, so Hope is going to cash in now. He's going to get paid with those plates. He just finished his Cull cash out as well. We can watch it one more time. This is just a great pick from On. Pulls in the enemy jungler. There is the CC layering immediately coming through from Beishuan. Tarzan tries his best to try to survive there, getting this under Sky proc on multiple members, using the passive. But then this chase, yes, there's the flash forward from Beishuan, and it looks like it's going to be a kill on to Shanks, but Shanks is able to buy so much time.
The stun that comes through from Shanks' ultimate buys him time to escape. Here, though, Knight, I do think he just needed one more auto attack. And I guess he was worried about the cooldown of Shanks' Q that would have finished him off. Bin now supported by his team.
On the hunt coming out from Hope as they look to turn onto Beishuan. He's caught up. The needle works out from Flandre. And Beishuan just went too deep to flash away from On. A rocket grab about to find him as AL find another kill.
Feels like a story of the series. A step too far by Beishuan. He overextends and AL are quick to collapse. Both these teams are ready to skirmish. And this time around, it's AL that get the better of the fight.
Tarzan having to flash the Chain of Corruption, turns it back around onto Elk, has that cease and desist and has his team collapsing, but is the shield enough? Meanwhile, Hope and On fighting down towards the bottom side. Shanks comes in with the Tibbers and will kill off Elk. On able to retreat. Bin trying to get onto Shanks, but Shanks uses the blast cone wisely to get himself over the wall.
Really well played there. Tarzan realizes, you know what, I can't get out from this situation. I just need to buy enough time for my mid laner to get over here to knock down Elk. As Elk really does feel like the hope right now. We talk so much about Bin, we talk so much about Knight, but Elk is the one here playing this on-hit Varus and has the 4 early kills.
Oh, a great repulse by Bin.
The idea there being that the silence comes through. Ooh, Flandre now the one.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Flandre gets out of this one. He's already used the skip and slash. There's the impale follow-up. Knight gets his 2nd, and BLG continue to punch back.
BLG do punch back, but again, it's the towers now. So we saw them get that tower top side low. Flandre finished that off. That's first tower. That was Boots. Now they get another tower on the other side of the map. AL are constantly pushing. So even though BLG are finding picks, are finding fights, it's always at the cost of something else. And it feels like BLG should be the ones ahead in gold, but it's AL with the over 1K gold lead here. And quietly, Sivir getting very strong.
I mean, if BLG could have gotten this extra dragon, at the very least they could have bought a little bit more time, relied on the fact that they have these strong side lanes, but AL put a lot of focus on securing these outer towers, and that's where a lot of this additional gold is coming from. The good news for BLG, though, is Knight getting some solo time on the top side of the map. He will secure a tower for himself. You can see that with that first item completed, moving away from the rocket belt and going for a little bit more burst damage, that assassination tool that is super valuable in those 1v1s and on the side lane. Flandre trying to defend the tower.
BLG are going to collapse, though. Ishtal's impact will get Flandre into the wall. Hope Popping the on the hunt to try and get Flandre out. There's a chain of corruption follow-up. TP coming in by Bin as they turn all their attention onto Flandre. Bin will take one, put into the bailout, but won't be able to be revived. And now the chase continues for anyone's legend. Beige1 running for the hills. Knight and Elk, can you escape the clutches of Tarzan? Good flash away, cease and desist. Available though for the buys. They continue to chase forward. Hope flashes in, and Tarzan lives. A double for Hope in the end. AL clean up the fight.
BLG sent 5 top, but it is AL standing strong here, playing out the fight incredibly well. Hope was just cooking them on that one. BLG now so far behind off of this fight.
You hit the nail on the head, Azale. Hope's positioning was fantastic. He was in a 2 versus 5, and he threw the ultimate out, not as a defensive measure, but to be ready for the arrival of his team to say, we are ready to turn this fight around. BLG committed everything to getting that pick onto Flandre, but it cost them so much.
BH1 going forward here. Hope once again putting the damage down. Impale was dodged, and the bailout just gives him time to watch him die. Shanks now unstoppable, 5-1 on this Annie.
The spent flash just adding insult to injury there as BH1 flashed out with that bailout. But the disintegrate followed, knocked him down, and that is a big playmaking tool gone. That is all of the outers gone, and that is AL starting again to run away with this one. On match point here, looking for a date with T1.
This game is getting too chaotic for BLG. Knight and Bin, they need time. They want to be playing in the 2 versus 1s. They want to be 2v2s. They want to be skirmishing on a side lane. When you're forcing these big 5v5 fights, Hope is just going to do so much damage. Look at the ricochet. It's just bouncing through all the members of BLG. Then the rest of AL arrive, and while Bin does get the initial kill, it's immediately traded back. Shanks joins the fray. Tarzan setting up for the collapse. They forego chasing down BH1, knowing they can't run him down. And you can see that Tarzan a little hesitant to ulti here, but he knows that the rest of his team is following up, so he's prepared to sacrifice his life, ready for the turnaround pick, but he doesn't even fall.
I mean, just so much patience there from Tarzan. In multiple fights, we've seen him hold on to this ult. He's not just sending it immediately. He goes in with the Q, forces the flash, backs off to keep them interested. Then once his team is going to be close enough to actually follow up, he goes back in with the ult, knowing, yeah, I might die here, but we are going to win the fight. And look at the damage dealt. 2 champions in the last team fight. Nearly 5K from that Sivir.
A pick for Hope that rings back to his first ever title on JDG. It was the Sivir and the Zeri that carried them to that victory. Now on anyone's legend, it is the Sivir that might carry them to a date with T1 tomorrow. Still, of course, the LCK to work through here. It's a grudge match for the LPL, have been on the losing side of that too many times in the last few years. And their hopes seem to rest now on anyone's legend.
I will say that if AL do make it through this series, they will be a new challenger to the many LPL teams that have faced T1 throughout the years. And based on how they're playing, they are making a statement in this series, affirming to the world that if they end this in a 3-0 fashion, they are by far and away the strongest LPL team at this tournament.
And a team that's evolved as well. It's not just you've played against different people, you've beaten different people. They've shown their development, beating BLG 3-2, 3-1, and now would be 3-0. Mikhail's out from Kyle. BH1 looking for the Ishtal's impact. TP coming in as well from Knight. A short burst of movement for him there as he joins up with the fight. Bin is here in the mid lane. Flandre is not. He's pushing out through bot.
And you can feel the desperation sinking in a little bit when you're spending flash ult to hopefully get a pick on a Blitzcrank. And he just has the perfect Mikhails.
There's a hook onto On. Hope opens up and will take down On. Tarzan jumping forward as well. Ishtal's impact will lock him against the wall, the Impale as well. And Tarzan will fall. Flandre coming in, and there's no one protecting the back line. Knight has to dash away, but Shanks now dominating. Elk snipped away by Flandre. Bin trying to do anything he can to survive. He's forced back to his tier 2.
It all starts with a single hook. Kyle finding that pick onto On. The rest of BLG quickly tried to turn that into a winning fight, but it ends in disaster. The good news for BLG is that they take out Tarzan, they take out the jungler from AL, but already back out onto the map. The double TPs come mid.
Bin will be able to walk away from this one, even with the Molten Shield. I'm not sure Shanks can chase Kyle. Going for the overdrive, that extra movement speed will expire. There's the riposte. And yes, he will. Did have to use an ability to get out, but Bin still survives. The Dragon is up, as is the Otacon. AL in such a prime position to close out this game.
You can see BLG pings onto the Otacon there, but there's so many wards in their jungle that AL is going to know what's going on. Even if you go up through here, you're going to be spotted by all the wards on that side of the map. And now you can see the counter pings coming in from AL, noting that BLG is not looking for that Dragon. They are going to try to go for a risky play. And if they commit to an Otacon and AL catch them on it, it is going to be problems.
Love the positioning here from On, waiting to see if someone oversteps. TP behind, there's the handshake. Beishuan looking for the chase here onto Kyle. Good static build will stop the channel. Knight trying to get in from the side. Tarzan shadowing Bin, marking him, making sure he can't get in. The chain of corruption, and Bin is deleted. On next up here for anyone's legend, they'll find two. It's a bloodbath so far. BLG are cooked as AL clean them up. The flash forward from Shanks will find the stun, and the Knight must bow to Shanks. Elk chased away. Nothing he can do. Shattered and bruised. BLG can only watch as AL clean it up.
It is a clean 5-0 ace in favor of AL. BLG desperate to try and find any pick. They set up for a collapse onto Kyle, but it ends in disaster.
Yeah, and Hope had base. That's why he was late to the fight, but he shows up with the third item, the Infinity Edge completed, and you knew as soon as he arrived, it was curtains for BLG. They try to find a pick. They are punished so heavily here. AL fully commit to the chase, knowing that this is their fight. No way that BLG can fight back. Elk tries his best, and they have got to know it. They are so close now to sealing the deal here.
6,000 gold ahead. The Otacon secured as well. Out 700 extra gold out of that. Kyle stealing the Raptors. This guy has been an absolute menace here for anyone's legend. And for BLG, you're wondering, is there a way back in? Yes, perhaps if we can kill off Hope, but then you've got to deal with Shanks, you've got to deal with Flandre, who's on 2 items on this Gwen as well. It just becomes a mountainous, a monstrous task now for BLG.
Tarzan looking at a faded rematch against T1. The opportunity to get his revenge as AL take their second Dragon of the game. The Baron spawning in 45 seconds. An 8-1-6 Shanks scoreline. An impressive performance for him, especially in the early game. He was the one that was targeted. All of the pressure was put onto his lane, yet he weathered the storm. And on a champion that back in 2023 was synonymous with Knight, the Annie that he was consistently bringing out at MSI. Shanks getting the better of his lane opponent and working with Hope to dominate here in Game 3.
Shanks has been stellar, but Hope as well, as you're mentioning, a 13-1-3 on the Lucian. He is now 7-0-10 on the Sivir. Feels like he has barely stepped a foot wrong, as this duo have been absolutely incredible.
Percentage, just incredible. The ult goes in.
Look for the cease and desist, and immediately they jump onto Beishuan. No real escape for him. Meanwhile, Hope has been caught by On. Knight gets him! A grand in the pocket of Knight. He's found his payday, but can BLG find the fight? Tarzan gets one in response, but Knight answers with another. Shanks is down as Bin will slip him. Flandre trying to fight the 2v1, but Elk still stands! Somehow, from somewhere, BLG find the fight!
BLG are not down and out just yet. An impressive team fight comes through. They close the gold gap just like that, and they're setting their sights on the Baron.
They can do it. They can absolutely do it. It's an on-hit Varus here. Knight just needs to tank it up, and they will eventually be able to knock this down. No one's going to be respawning in time, and Hope this time does get caught on the way out. Actually, can they? This is getting a bit risky.
Knight jumping back in. Doesn't have the Riftmaker for any of that extra healing. Elk can now tank it, and they should be able to get it with those blighted quiver stacks. Knight almost dies. Elk secures it for BLG. Will be on everyone but Bin. AL now have to regroup. The gold basically even.
Yeah, the gold from 6K in their favor to just gone. That is multiple massive shutdowns going their way. And it is off of an AL look here. They're the ones moving in, but watch Knight. It's all about his positioning here as they catch him. On and Knight get in onto Hope. No one is there to help him. They were all looking for Beishuan. Great, you killed off Beishuan, but you lost your Sivir. Elk is untouched. There's no pressure put onto Varus, and that means it is the miracle fight for BLG, buying them a shot in this series, buying them a shot in this game. And Knight has got to feel good about that one.
We talked about it coming out of the draft. If you're BLG, who do you look to? You look to Knight and you look to Bin, and this is why so often they put their team on their backs in these vital moments. It is not done yet, though. The gold's still slightly in anyone's Legend favor. They still have 2 Dragons and an Artican to only 1 Drake for BLG.
I mean, Hope is naturally very afraid of the kill potential that Knight will have on this Akali. But now the front line has to be really cautious of Elk. He is about to complete that Jack Show, and he has 3 items completed. This on-hit Varus will melt any target that tries to run him down.
My eyes also drawn towards the top side. A 2,000 gold lead here for Bin. Yes, the KDA doesn't look great, but who cares? He has 3 completed items. He has the Baron
Level
on his
16
team
as
side,
well.
and he's level 16. Flandre really far behind. You know, he has been grouping a lot. He's down 60 plus CS. He does not have the ability to really hold him in the side lane. And we have all seen these crazy Fiora games where sometimes you find a window to crack the base and you can look for these crazy plays where you're TPing in, trying to go for a base race. And these types of setups, even if you can't actually win in the 5v5. So we'll see if AL can kind of button it up here and just try to slow things down, get it back in their favor.
This is the thing about BLG. Their roster is full of talent, and that potential is always ready to shine through. Let's see if they can find another magical fight as they set up around the Dragon. Flandre doing what he can to catch waves, get some farm back. Ticking over to level to 15, he's going to go quickly back to base as the TP ready.
And I think, honestly, if you're AL, there's no reason you have to fight for this. It would just be the second Dragon here for BLG. So you can just play through sides. You can just continue wave clearing here. And BLG realizing we can't just group 5. You're not going to be able to push through the Sivir. It's just not going to work. They were so insistent on trying to get down this tier 1 mid. Now they have sent Bin down towards the bot lane. They're looking for some resets. They're going to prepare for this Dragon and see if they can find an angle. But again, AL don't have to force it if they want to wait for additional items, if they want to wait for more things to come through. The Bloodthirster now, though, done for Hope means no poke is going to be an issue. We see the GA being built by Tarzan. The question is, are they going to wait for that, or are they going to kind of put their line in the sand and fight here?
4 items on Hope. If he's untouched in a fight, he will just shred through BLG. They've started up the Drake, looking for their second of the game, and anyone's Legend are not answering the call. Instead, they'll clear out their own jungle. They'll make sure they have the mid lane prio. Baron has fallen off. AL actually having to back away from only on the advance here. Tarzan might look for the smite across the wall, but won't be able to get in range. Beishuan secures it. BLG take the gold lead for the first time this game, and quickly AL take it back.
Wow. The game now has a very different tone attached to it. Earlier, it felt all but done. AL looking to cleanly close out the series in a 3-0 fashion, but a single fight, and now AL feel the stress. They feel the momentum shift as BLG regain their confidence. Items continue to be completed. They continue to get stronger. And there's the Jack Show now finished for Elk as well. So these fights are going to look very different from what we've been seeing so far in this game. And when you look at the top of your screen, 23 kills to 14, you feel like that it's a foregone conclusion. But the items at the bottom of your screen are the true story of what we can come to expect in the next fight.
They absolutely are, but I mean, we already talked about the Bloodthirster. They also were waiting for the Death Cap, and that is ready. Oh. The hook just narrowly misses. Shanks now level 16, Death Cap completed. They were waiting for the Death Cap. They were waiting for the BT. They were waiting for the GA. You have to think Tarzan is going to be pretty close to that as well, as AL may just be one good hook away from closing this series out. It's BLG that have got to stay focused here. It will be a long road for them if they are going to be able to come back.
Come back in this game, come back in this series. It would be tricky, and we have seen them fall foul of over-aggression, of greed already in the LPL and here at MSI. AL grouping in a 1-4 split. It's Flandre matching Bin on that side lane. Bin with a 70 CS lead, 2.5K ahead. We talked about it a little bit already. The Seeker's coming out from Flandre now as well as he knows he needs just that little bit more protection. Next Drake, 3 minutes away, but the Baron is where my eyes turn. Only 30 seconds, no vision really up there for BLG right now. Expect to see Beishuan and On teaming up and walking through that blue side jungle to get a bit of vision for themselves.
The pedals also making a difference this late in the game. About 1,300 gold in additional stats that AL do have, thanks to all of the pushing lanes that they have had, the additional flowers that they have been able to actually collect. And Bin is spotted here.
Should just be able to walk away. Was doing the Gromp. Bin spotting Tarzan early means there's no real risk of a Vault Breaker into cease and desist. You've got the riposte. You have enough tools at your disposal just to escape. There's the Guardian Angel you were talking about as AL finished on Tarzan. Seekers as well for Knight. Means that assassination potential all the more real. On has a Locket and a Mikhails on this Renata as well. Can be so powerful in a team fight. Mikhail is obviously primarily for the stun coming out of Shanks. And a QSS for Hope. He knows if he's untouched, if he has a little bit of time in a fight, that Ricochet is just going to melt.
And now, I mean, he has the Mikhails, he has that QSS. You can see that Kyle is sitting on cleanse right now, so even if he gets hit by the hostile takeover, he can actually cleanse in Mikhails, but Shanks could be in trouble.
Shanks jumped on by Beishwan, puts the Tibbers down, gets the stun. Knight with the chase. Beishwan, the Impale going wide. Tarzan down to half HP, but the Storm Surge just assassinates the Annie. Shanks down now as AL have to defend us 4.
It's an easy execution as BLG find the lone target in a side lane. The damage from Knight was lethal as the Baron is begun.
I was looking for that hook. Gets it onto Beishwan. The static field down as well as Beishwan tries to heal up with that shield, but he just can't. Hope begins to open up. Hostile takeover coming out. Vault Breaker away by Tarzan. The needle work from Plundre just for the slow.
But the perfect positioning by Kyle there. He hits the hook, he stops the Baron, and an instant Mikhails there on Flandre as he gets hit by the hostile takeover. Beishwan lost track of the fact that he could have got hit by that angle, and now Kyle's looking.
Kyle flashes forward, doesn't land the hook. The tower falls as the bailout on Bin would bring him back if he did fall. Has that G8 on his shoulders. AL able to defend, no further push coming out from BLG. The Drake up in 50 seconds.
That's just
TP
disastrous
into the
though.
Baron.
For BLG, losing your jungler there, exactly, because now they can start the counter Baron. Your Beishwan just needed to stay on the other side of the Baron, not allow Kyle to get that angle, but now it is AL here on the Baron, and it's a TP coming in from Bin. They're looking to contest.
It all comes down to this. You have to feel every hope and every wish for BLG to take it into the lower bracket finals. The arrows are landing. Kyle down to half HP. Knight pops a stopwatch, but he's basically got nothing. Still goes in with the perfect execution, manages to get a kill. The Baron over to Tarzan. On's gonna get shot down. It's Bin and Knight, the last two standing. Tarzan with the GA will be resurrected. Shanks on the chase, the needles for the slow. Bin trying to get away with that lunge, but Shanks has the stun primed and ready. The blast cone from Bin, the Vault Breaker from Tarzan riposted. The stun lands, but so does the disintegrate as Bin is being chased. Plundre skips and slashes forward, but Knight's gonna try, and Knight is snuffed out.
It is a very close fight, but without the jungler, AL secure the Baron. The carries of BLG made it much closer than it should have been. Knight and Bin get into the Baron pit. A beautiful ulti comes through from Elk, but it's just not quite enough.
AL were laser focused on the Baron, but watch Hope. Both the solo laners get on top of Hope, and that is why there is a chance here for BLG. They're able to get in with their dying breath there. Bin gets in on top, gives up the GA. Knight comes through and finishes him off, and that is why this gets so close. But we are back to live, and AL here looking for a dragon. Tarzan gets knocked over the wall.
He should have the Vault Breaker up.
that is a clincher if I've ever seen one.
Brother Shanks, are you okay? It's fine. Tarzan able to walk away. The Baron for anyone's legend. The Red Bull Baron power play currently sitting at 3K. We saw BLG get a Baron and delay the game, only got about 2K out of it. AL will want a lot more. Flandre is answering the wave on the top side, now has his Seeker's Arm Guard complete. 4 items as well on Shanks with the Morello Nomicon. Full build for Hope.
Yeah, exactly. Full build for him. Flandre is going to be working towards his death cap as that next item. The gold lead has somewhat withered a bit there for Bin. The GAs are used by both sides as well. Tarzan won't have his, Bin will not have his. This fight is going to be explosive. And Knight critically doesn't have Zhonya's gold just yet. He used the Seekers.
There we are.
There, critically, has it now.
AL with the Baron can begin their siege. BLG don't have the best wave clear. Elk is going to do what he can, but the ulti is popped by Hope.
On the hunt is Hope. On the hunt for a lower bracket final against T1. On the hope to be the LPL's only representative left in MSI. For BLG, you need vision outside of your base. You need to be able to track Kyle on this Blitzcrank because his hooks have been hitting.
will say the vision coverage on these flanks is very strong from BLG. That controller doing a lot of work. Another hook goes wide from Kyle.
Kyle is basing, but he has TP with the spellbook. He does cancel it now. See if he wants to go back or reset. They're looking for Flandre.
The challenge down onto Flandre, immediately dashes in. Flandre will skip and slash across the wall. Hope trying to position well here. BLG will force Flandre down to half HP. He does have the TP to rejoin the fight. But BLG showing if they're given a second with that Gwen, she can be deleted.
And that was incredibly bold there from Bin. Just went in, pops the ulti, gets Flandre down incredibly low. But he does survive. Bin again, just posturing. I mean, he is feeling so confident. He knows it's kind of up to him, and they are looking on the side here to try to chase down Hope. But with the ulti, should be able to outpace them.
They're still
That's a lot
going.
of pings.
They're
Knights
still going.
lost a lot of HP. Yeah, I think this is way too deep. Kyle going to spot out that they are safe now to go back to base. It's looking to be an Elder game. At the very least, we're looking at one more Baron. 2 minutes. Both teams will farm as much as they can to get ready for the next fight. Full build on Elk. The gold really doesn't mean much. It all comes down to execution.
And Elk now has a GA in there as well. He has the Jack shows, the GA, the Terminus resistances that are going to stack up. He is going to be tough to knock down, not to mention all of the protection there from On. So now, even with all of the damage that Shanks and Tarzan have, it's not a foregone conclusion that Elk dies if he gets caught. There's so much protection that you're going to have to punch through.
Honestly, I feel like the way that this fight is going to go, AL have moved away from trying to dive, and instead they're all about peeling.
Yeah.
So every time, their goal is to stop Knight from getting anywhere near Hope. As long as Hope lives and can auto-attack, Ricochet should do the rest of the work. So it pretty much becomes protect the president right now, as AL will have to defend the siege from Knight and Bin, who will be looking to try and take out Hope in the fights.
And when you're looking at a fight like that, it's so important to think about vision and to think about summoner spells. The exhaust, well highlighted there for Kyle, gives him that protection against the Knight. Do you need the wards on your flanks as well? We've seen Knight assassinate Hope at that first fight around the Baron because Hope did not know that Knight was there, and the rest of AL had chased onto the BLG backline.
A well-timed exhaust has ruined the plans of many an assassin in League of Legends here. And that unsealed spellbook is going to pay dividends potentially in this last fight. I mean, Kyle finally has his second item. They've been spending so much gold on vision throughout this game, buying so many pink wards. The redemption is done. And we'll see if Hope wants to start changing out any of the items.
He is. He sold something for the Lord Dominic's regards.
QSS.
Oh, Mikuyo Scimitar.
Scimitar. That's the
Makes sense. The only real threat is a hostile takeover, chain of corruption, but you have Mikhail's.
Yeah.
So
Putting a lot of
And you have
trust
spell
on
shield.
Kyle and your spell shield, yep.
Rightfully so. I feel like those are two trusty things.
I mean, if you're going to put trust in a support in the LPL, I think Kyle probably the best one to do it in right now.
40
Anyone's
minutes.
legend will try and get control over the Baron River.
40 minutes in. The Baron spawns 8 seconds, the third one of the game. Soul point for AL.
Flandre is basing, and I assume he has his death cap. He is going to go back. We'll see if he does have the completion. There it is. That is a massive buy. We have to check in again on the fact that the GAs are now active and ready. There are 3 available here. Tarzan has 1, Bin has 1, Elk has 1. There's multiple Zonias as well.
And the bailout from that Renata. Especially if Knight is diving in, the bailout just gives you that little extra damage. One more 5-point strike could be the difference between reviving and dying. The Drake up in 5 seconds time, AL on soul point, but not setting up around it at all.
Bin could just solo it though. AL are very heavily committed towards the top side of the map, so we'll see if Bin wants to go over to it or if he's too worried about a potential engage here.
He's gonna go, there's the on the hunt, immediately ball breaker forward, there's a hook back as well, and On is down before he can pop the hostile takeover. AL will turn their eyes towards the Baron and BLG. Are you going to fight this? Base one and Knight stepping in. Elk there as well, but it looks like BLG will give up the Ghost, take the Drake, lose the Baron.
Exactly. You know they're not going to fight it because Bin is on that dragon, soloing it down. They do not get soul, but at least they deny soul. Explosive engage there, finds the Renata, and now the question is, can you hold the line here against the Baron buff?
Hope's ultimate comes off cooldown very quickly, and they're already making their way towards that top tower. AL with the Baron at their backs. Shanks going to answer mid-wave. This tower is not long for this world. An inhibitor soon to follow.
BLG just going to funnel down mid, try and keep that wave as far away as possible. Shanks has the teleport, but isn't needed to join AL on this push. Now on back alive. It's going to be a 5v5 defense for the ages for BLG if they can somehow find a way to get back in this game, get back in this series. One fight away from going home. One fight away from perhaps once again making a name for themselves on the international stage.
The only summoner missing is the flash from Tarzan here that he did spend in that pick. On didn't use anything, just accepted his fate there. And as a result, everyone else is fully ready to go. Kyle TP's back in, picks up a Warden's Mail. And we'll see, they're just trying to take over vision here in the enemy jungle and see if they can find one more pick.
Feels like they might be playing for this bot tier 2, push the next wave, then move through that red side jungle with Flandre, who's already escorting the wave forward. We'll pick up these honey fruits, gobble them up, and top up his health bar.
Bin is revealed on that top wave now, so now they are going to push in earnest. They know they have the extra man here. They're going to push very aggressively. There is a potential TP ward back behind Flandre, but it's Hope pushing mid lane now. And we saw how fast that top lane inhibitor tower went down. Bin is on the side, but this tower is getting quite low.
3 autos and it's down to half HP. The Chain of Corruption, a whisker away from finding Hope. He does, of course, still have that spell shield and the Mikhails. Flandre takes the tier 2 on the bottom side. BLG unable really to defend as Hope using the Bloodthirster shield will just tank up the tower. BLG not pulling the trigger yet. Have lost an inhibitor tower in mid. Flandre with double cannon minions down towards the bottom side. Bin almost assassinated. The hostile takeover coming out as well as Tarzan dashes in. The pull back onto base one, not the target AR would want, but with Tibbers joining the party, anyone's legend see the win in their eyes.
BLG, they have to get back to base. They need to regenerate the health bars. The Nexus towers are all that stand left as the base falls apart. Bin goes in.
Looks for Tarzan, but Tarzan goes in with a cease and desist. There's still a Guardian Angel here for Bin, but the bailout will bring it back first. Unignited and will fall to Flandre. Knight pops the stopwatch, but might just go pop afterwards. Bin dashing up towards the top side. Knight able to escape for now, but Base One is sacrificing himself for his mid laner. Elk gonna go to the GA under the tower, and I don't think there's an Angel listening as Elk is mown down. The LPL is conquered. The LCK awaits. Anyone's legend claim the 3-0.
A dominant series here from AL. All you can say, these players, this team, they keep getting better. 3-2 in the upper bracket, 3-1 in the grand finals, 3-0 at MSI. This team is ramping up, and they're gonna have to. A tough challenge does await them. If they want to win MSI, it will have to be through T1 and then through Gen G, who awaits the winner of that series in the grand finals. But they are looking like they are ready to give the LCK a run for their money.
T1, the infamous LPL killers. A new challenger awaits. AL will go on to face them tomorrow. And again, we go back to the conversation we had earlier. Winning 3-0 makes a statement. They are head and shoulders above that of BLG. They are by far and away the best team from the LPL. And I am excited to see what they can do, because there's not but one, but two LCK opponents ahead of them if they want to claim the MSI title.
For BLG, obviously, commiserations. They'll be disappointed with how they performed here today at MSI, perhaps in general. But for a team that's gone through so much with the changing of coaching staff, with Beishuan coming in, with turmoil amongst the players, I think they can still hold their heads pretty high, making it to the top 4 here at MSI. And now their hopes hang, their region's hopes hang on anyone's legend.
We heard from Knight himself before the series started.